Synthaholics.
File started.
All right, ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, Aaron O'Brien and David Duncan. Hello, David.
Hey, how's it going? Where's Shattered Mapes when you need her?
She's gone. She's been dead for a while. Her body's cold.
It's cold.
Guys.
Did you just see that mess up on the that I sent you as a picture from it was like a picture from Clue, but they said it was
made from Clue. Yeah,
they said it was Shattered Mapes, and I was like telling her it's like she's all busting out of her top, and I'm like, I told you she was like the top concubine.
Right. Guys, we are talking about Dune. We are getting into chapter 25 and 26 of Dune. We are back in this chapter 25 with Paul and Jessica, and they get scooped up by Duncan Idaho. And Dr. Kynes.
Ooh, Dr. Kynes. And Aquaman. Woo!
Aquaman. So,
but before we get into it, we saw the teaser for the trailer for the new movie.
Yeah, it was, some people leaked that, so it was pretty cool. It was a little different, wasn't it?
I don't think it was the actual trailer. It's like, I think it's the teaser for the trailer, because like the full trailer's coming. But for whatever reason, this teaser isn't like super publicly available. It's on like some like shady website that was linked to Facebook.
It was, totally.
It was like really weird, but and it's super low quality, but it was like the box scene, like the audio from the box scene, but like just showing up everything else.
The Reverend Mother and Paul, and put your hand in the box.
And they showed the Ornithopter, which looked really fucking cool. They showed like Duncan Idaho and Duke Leto, and they looked really cool. And like I love how it's just like that you hear this talking about the pain, and like Paul's just breathing heavy over everything. And now that we're kind of like getting close to the halfway point of the book, and like Dune is nothing but pain for him and his family, and all this stuff like that. So like it's such a fitting scene to have. Pain. I need my pain. Captain Kirk as Paul Atreides. They should have William Shatner play Paul Atreides.
Shatner's like, I can do that.
I'm 86 years old. I will play a 15-year-old because I'm that good an actor.
No, because your ego's that big.
I think that'd be amazing. Just a Shatner playing Paul.
I was struck by the set designs are very, very minimalist. They're like almost similar to, you can look this up later, like brutalism architecture, just like very just square, straight lines, no ornamentation to almost anything, Well,
hopefully Paul's bed will have ornamentation on it, because they made a big deal of that in the book.
Because there's got to be fishes in there and all sorts of other weird things.
Place for a hunter seeker to pop out of.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it looked really good. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm very excited to see how. Apparently, the trailer I saw somewhere online that it's going to be 3 minutes long.
Yeah, because this like preview thing was like a minute and change, I think.
Yeah, so that'll be cool.
I can't wait to see more.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. I mean, like, I just hope it pulls it off this time, because 1984 Dune was, it was a thing.
Mm-hmm. It was a thing.
It looked good for its time. It just was kind of weird.
Didn't quite deliver on the story afterward. They did the setup good, but after that, it just kind of fell apart.
The first hour is like basically straight out of the book, except for cutting here and there for like time.
Couple spots cut out. Yeah. Do we have a date yet for Dune 2020? I have not heard anything.
I think December 18th is.
Is that still like a firm date? I keep hearing they're going to move that back.
I don't know. I guess it depends on what
COVID does.
I mean, I guess what the trailer. I'm guessing they'll have a date on the trailer. Maybe that's why the trailer's been delayed so long. I mean, if there's any addendum to the date, I'm sure it'll probably be on the trailer, because that's like what they like to do on trailers. They like to like, oh, look, on this date this movie's coming out. And I mean, we've got drive-thrus here in Buffalo, New York, or I mean, we got a drive-thru.
One drive-thru.
Drive-thru. And I mean, like, the rest of the world's handling their pandemic better than we are. So, I mean, they might just hope it does well internationally. I mean, I hope it does. I mean, I want to see this movie do well. I want to see them make sequels. I'd love to see Duke Leto the Worm. I mean, this is going to be fantastic. I really want them to like finally get it right and be popular enough to go on, because I'm really loving the book, and I want to see it take off.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome, and it'd be great to see this as some franchise that picks up. It's not according to how it's received, of course.
Or if it doesn't work as a movie, maybe transition it to a TV show. I don't know. That
would be great if that could happen. I know we were talking about the movie, the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet. I guess that is officially out now, I guess, but obviously we don't have any theaters that are open near us.
I wonder if the drive-in will show it, because I just saw Spider-Man, the two new ones, Far From Home.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know. So it'd be cool if we could go see that, because I know they're supposed to do the Dune trailer open up for that movie.
Oh, I don't know how that's possible, since Tenet's out and the Dune trailer doesn't come out for a couple days.
Well, the Dune trailer won't come out to worldwide release to online, basically, till after it premieres on Tenet. So
I'm surprised there isn't a bootleg of it up from someone.
I'm sure there is somewhere if we really want to search for it, but
yay!
It seems like Warner Brothers is like really cracking down too on this. So I don't know. See what happens. Yeah. But anyways, let's get back to chapter 25. We are still in the Paul and Jessica are running through the desert, and an ornithopter lands, and Duncan Idaho jumps out with Dr. Kynes, and they say there's a Fremen safe house that they can go hang out at. And they see Paul talks about over these distant cliffs. There's these laser guns, going off, and Duncan Idaho kind of like, oh, wait to see what happens. All of a sudden, there's an atomic explosion because apparently he put the shields on full power, and when the laser guns hit it, it just had a subatomic explosion. And he's like, next time the Harkonnens of Sardaukar will think twice before using their laser guns again.
Good old Duncan Idaho. Badass.
Being pretty cool. So they get into this safe house. The safe house is actually one of those the Imperial environmental control rooms, or what do we want to call them? Bases.
That Duke Leto was looking into is like, the Emperors. We can't touch those.
Right. And even he talks about it. He says, when they get inside of it, he says it's one of the Imperial ecological testing stations my father wanted as an advanced basis. And then Kynes kind of thinks his father wanted, and then Kynes thought again, I'm foolish to aid these fugitives. Why am I doing this? It's be so easy to take them now, to buy the Harkonnen trust in them.
So, he's kind of Guido it up with the Harkonnens.
Yeah, hey, Baron, I got this Jessica and Paul in my trunk. What you got for me?
I got them duct taped and everything.
You can do whatever you want with that Paul. I don't know. I'm not going to tell anybody.
I'm going to forget I had him.
And later on, they just realize here while they're talking here. So they're, he said, he then asked Paul. It says, "You recognize this place correctly?" This was Kynes says this. "You recognize this place correctly? For what would you use this place, young Paul Atreides?" And then Paul says, "To make this planet fit for humans." And then Kynes thinks, "Perhaps this is why I helped them." I like this planet. I like this guy. This is a good guy. Maybe I won't duct tape him in my trunk.
Maybe. I gotta be convinced even more.
So they also tell Kynes that their proximity detectors are unable to mask. They can't mask. Their generator equipment is broken. And he says, Kynes asks if he can get it repaired, but the Fremen say it's not quick, the parts. And Kynes goes, yeah. Says, we'll do without the machinery. Get the hand pump out for air out the surface. And the man runs out to do that. And Kynes then goes back to Paul and goes, you gave a good answer. And Jessica then is like, well, yeah, he's doing good with these guys. And she realizes that Kynes is the same person as Leet. So remember, Leet was like this like well-to-do. Yeah, the god, like kind of like super high up Fremen. And everyone's like, oh, Leet. So Leet is his Fremen alter ego.
Leet, he is made of clay.
So he says, let's see, Jessica says, we're most grateful for your help, Dr. Kynes. And he goes, we'll see. And then he nods to his men, spice coffee in my quarters, Shamir.
Spike it with rum.
Yeah, well, you don't need it because you're going to see through time and space once you drink that shit. They're just tripping balls after drinking coffee.
We're gonna do a line of pumpkin spice, and then drink our spice drink.
At some point, he starts talking to Paul, and Paul says, "You will address me as sire or lord." So, and Kynes like, I don't know about this guy. This guy's got some balls, man. I don't know.
Does he even have hair on the balls? He's like 15.
I don't think you've got hair down there.
maybe when his third eye opened, all this hair grew.
He just grew immediately.
It just all popped in. It's just like, man, my still suit's getting kind of full down there.
It's kind of scratchy, Mom.
Mom, can you scratch me?
Get out of here, Paul. Then they start talking too, and Paul wants to get proof that the Sardaukars are helping the Harkonnens, because here's the thing: as he tells them, the whole Landsred, all the houses of lords and ladies and stuff like that, if they know that the Emperor just using his warriors to assassinate them, it kind of just like makes everyone a target. And so he's like, if they find out that the Emperor is helping the Harkonnens to do this aggression against the Atreides, then the Landsred will rebel against the Emperor and the Harkonnens. So we need proof that the Sardaukar is doing that. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, let's get an insurrection against that Emperor then, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of where he's going anyways.
Yeah.
And Paul's kind of like, he's posturing himself as, obviously the Duke, which, makes sense because
his dad is dead. So
he is the Duke now.
He is the Duke.
But Kynes isn't like really like buying into it, because he's like, this is just a kid. Your balls haven't dropped yet. So
that, and like he's got no actual power. The Harkonnens have just run through everything that they had.
Right.
So I mean, like, yeah, he's like technically the Duke by blood since his father's dead, but he's got really nothing.
Yeah, and then so Paul then says, so after explaining the reason why he needs the proof, because basically this would create chaos with the Landsred. Paul says he's going to give the Emperor an ultimatum to prevent the chaos. Since the Emperor has no son, Paul will be offered to wed his eldest daughter, so he has right to the throne and ensure peace across the universe. So he's just going power play right to the top.
Let's do it. Yeah, he's seen the future. He's going to try and work out his plan.
Yeah, but obviously Paul right now needs all the help he can get, and he's asking for Kynes to help him. And he says he promises once he becomes in the power of the Emperor that he will support Kynes' dream in making Dune Arrakis into a paradise.
Paradise, yes.
Yeah. And he unlimited coin to do that. And he's like, are you trying to buy me? Because Dr. Kynes' Leah is not for sale.
But it might work.
But it does sound tempting, your lord, my lord, sire.
My lord.
Sire?
Yes. Do it,
I have
please.
a hard time saying that. Anyways, but yeah, he says he's not for sale, but, he does saying, like, hey, Paul's kind of like, hey, I'm not trying to buy you, but, if this is overstepping, but I think this is important to you. And Dr. Kynes is like, wow, the Harkonnens never apologized to me once. They always treat me like I'm some sort of asshole.
Yeah, because you are, Dr. Kynes. But,
hey, fuck you.
Well, yeah.
So he then changes. He says that Paul changes his offer to him and saying he will remain completely loyal to Kynes and defend him, to his life, to his own life for his life.
Yeah, he's like, I would give my life for you.
Right.
And that's pretty grown up for a 15-year-old who's seen the future and wants all the stuff to get done.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things to be taken into consideration there. So after that happens, all of a sudden they realize that something's gone wrong because Duncan Idaho comes in the doorway and he's defending them. He's fighting with Sardaukar warriors through the door, and he's all beat up, and he's got his shield on too. And Kynes and Paul jump up and they slam the door, and basically, like, this is where we say goodbye to Duncan Idaho.
Oh no, Duncan
Idaho!
Idaho.
And they bolt the door shut on Duncan too. So
we barely knew you, Duncan Idaho.
He was such a good guy. Everyone loved him.
Everyone loved him, and other than the time he was drunk, that was the most we saw of him when he was drunk.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the only time we really got a good chance to get to know him. And
Yeah.
It says, so after it says the door was closed and came a snick as Kynes drew the bolts.
Hodor!
Hodor, right, exactly. He says, I appear to have decided, Kynes says. So he's decided to pal with Paul now because he has no choice. And Paul says, someone detected your machinery before it could be shut down. And then Kynes says, I should have suspected trouble when the coffee failed to arrive. Service here is terrible.
Damn coffee.
Spiced coffee. We could have been tripping balls right now.
I know, it's time and space.
Time and space, my lad. Time and space. So they open this filing cabinet, and this opens a back door to a tunnel. And when they walk through, it's basically like a maze that has these like glow-in-the-dark arrows. And as you walk through past the arrows disappear.
Mm.
So it's like this like maze underground. I mean, who the hell knows where that came from,
The one day someone was tripping balls, like, I can make these awesome arrows that disappear when you walk past them.
But basically, on the other side of this maze they go through is an Ornithopter. And so he basically says, you two, you got to go. You got to get out of here. Get out of here. These guys are going to kill you. And Paul's like, well, what about you? He says, I'll try to escape another way. If I'm captured, well, I'm still the Imperial Paleontologist. I can say I was your captive. And Jessica and him take off, and he says, Duncan's dead, Paul. You saw the wound. There's nothing we can do for him. And says, I'll take. Paul says, I'll take full payment for all of them one day. Paul said, and he says, not unless you hurry, kid. So he takes off, and his mom's like, well, what about Kynes? He says he's like a guerrilla warrior. He's gonna, if he doesn't know where we are, he can't tell where we went.
Exactly.
So they get into the Ornithopter, and it takes off. And Kynes tells them there's a sandstorm coming, and they could ride above if they kind of like bank up above it, they could probably just ride on top of the sandstorm, and it'll kind of cover their ass, and they'll disappear. So
they'll be assumed dead.
Right, because sandstorms can rip apart ornithopters and rip flesh off people in minutes, because it's the sand is that powerful and the wind blows that hard. So
it's like moving sandpaper.
It's like sanding paper times 1,000,000 grit.
You'll be so smooth afterwards.
Your bones will be smooth. Like smooth stones. They take off for the Ornithopter, Paul and Jessica, and in the sandstorm, and the Harkonnen start firing missiles and artillery at them. And they do seem to get away from that, and they fly into this sandstorm. And Jessica's trying to keep calm, so she starts doing the Bene Gesserit litany while she's doing it, and then even Paul starts doing it too. And they get chased into with ornithopters, and but they seem to have it's pretty rocky at first, so they are pretty scared while they're doing it. But we will find out that later on they did survive by keeping somewhat above that sandstorm.
They fly sideways through it or something.
Sideways, kid.
Sideways. That way it doesn't hurt the wings so bad.
Yeah, so now we get into chapter 26, and this one's a little different because we are with the Harkonnens again. The Baron is in his suspending sleep bed, and his new captain, Nephid, comes in, and he's like, "They're all dead, Baron. Don't worry. The woman and the boy are certainly dead."
So did you see the body?
Well, they went in the sandstorm, so, there's no body to be found. They're dead.
Did you find some smooth bones?
No.
Smooth bones. I'm the Vladimir Harkonnen.
Smooth bones mean they go home. No, so Nephid's basically like, I didn't see the bodies. No, but come on. Could they actually live through that? And Baron's like, I guess not. I guess. So,
but you can't trust it. Can't trust it at all.
So, and then Nephid also tells him that Dr. Kynes is in their custody now. So this is jumping ahead just slightly forward. So they must, the Sardaukar warriors have grabbed Kynes after Paul and Jessica escaped, and but the Baron wants Nephid just to kill Kynes and make it look like an accident, because obviously he's protected by the Emperor. And then Nephid says, and also, Baron, we've picked up Howard Thufir, the mentat of Duke Atreides, Leto Atreides.
Well, Duke Atreides just killed my mentat. Maybe I can make this new guy my mentat.
Yeah, so he's like, mentats are hard to come by. So maybe I'll do that. So
maybe if I seduce him, I'll show him some leg.
So the way he's going to actually seduce him is twofold. One, he's going to still play up the angle that Jessica was the traitor and tell him that Dr. Yui was just killed in the invasion or what have you. So that there was no connection with Yui and the Baron, that it's all Jessica. So he'll be angry that obviously Jessica did this, but then also he can play on the fact that the Duke was so stupid about this woman that he loved that he was blinded by his emotion, that he picked the wrong people to serve. And the other thing he's going to do is have Nephid give him a little bit of poison and the antidote, so it's in his bloodstream, and that one day they can stop giving Howard the antidote and he'll die, so he'll be under their control.
Well, that's just so much fun. Don't you just want to be the Baron's friend?
He sounds like he'd be great, right?
Yeah, no, right? It's just like, I'll just poison you to death, and then I'll stop curing you one day. Who knows?
Yeah. So basically, he's going to try to, slowly woo Thufir into the service of the Baron, and probably there's a lot of information that he could get out of Howat as well if he slowly gets him programmed into believing, into siding with the Baron.
It'll get you drunk.
It'll get you drunk. So the Baron gets rid of Nifa and says, all right, get rid of him. And then he brings his nephew Raban into his room, and the Baron thinks that Raban is a muscle-minded tank brain. So he's just a big, hulking, massive person who doesn't think so hard on things.
I don't brain so good, Duke. Baron.
The Baron tells the Raban that all the Atreides are dead, and the planet is now under his command. And Raban is to squeeze the planet's 5 million inhabitants for all they're worth.
I hope Danny DeVito plays Raban in the new movie.
No, he's played by the guy from playing Drax.
Drax? Oh, I thought Drax was Baron Harkonnen.
No, that's who's Harkonnen? Freak! I'll think of it here in a second. Damn it! I was just looking at his IMDb, but it's not him. So he starts telling Raban basically, you know why you have to squeeze these people so hard for every last bit of spice out of this? And he's like, no, why? He's like, because this invasion cost us so much damn money. And he says, even if you squeeze this planet for, what did he say, 60 years?
We'll be good to be breaking even.
We'll just break even. He says, if you squeeze Arrakis for every cent it can give us for 60 years, we'll just barely repay us. And and he's like, Raban's mouth opens and closes while speaking. He's like,
well, at least I'm good at squeezing it.
And squeeze it, baby. The Barons then goes. He starts talking about the Spacing Guild and says the damnable guild's monopoly on space would have ruined us if I hadn't planned this for expense long ago. You should know, Raban, that we bore the entire brunt of it. We even pay for the transport of the Sardaukar. So the Baron, this is how much he's willing to, spend money on all that. So it's pretty crazy. The Vladimir Harkonnen is played by Stellan Skarsgård. It's big. If you know the guy from Thor who played the older professor, did you watch the Thor movies?
Yeah.
He got taken over by Loki in the first movie.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So he's going to be playing the Baron.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're they spent a lot of money, and so Raban's like, okay, so we need to make a lot of money. So
doesn't seem worth it. 60 years to recoup everything. That doesn't seem like a really smart investment.
Right, I know, and I know it's mostly out of revenge, but I mean it is a power play, of course. So,
but he gave up Arrakis just to take it back.
Well, that was the Emperor's
Emperor,
and the Emperor did that too because he wanted to get the Duke Leto out of the way because he's becoming too popular in the Landsred, and he was afraid that he might lose something from the he might lose power to the Duke Leto. That's part of it.
Wow, look how popular Duke Leto was. No one came to his rescue.
Hey, go kill that boy, eh? Well, that was the other thing. Remember, there's like nobody's coming to save us,
Nope.
The other thing Raban keeps on saying, well, what about the Fremen? He says, I think there's more people on this planet. He goes, the Fremen are just like desert rats. What are we even worried about them for? And he's like, the Sardaukar said they fought them and they like killed a whole bunch of Sardaukar. And he's like, what? The Fremen? He said, they were just Atreides dressed like Fremen. He's like, okay, but the Sardaukar want to hunt the Fremen. And then the Duke's like, fine, let them hunt the Fremen. They'll get them out of my way for a while, and I can take I can get rid of Kynes, and I can take Howat for myself. So
yeah, whatever works, you know.
And so that's basically says 2 things from Arrakis. Then Raban: income and merciless fist. You must show no mercy here. Think of these clods as what they are: slaves, envious of their masters, waiting only the opportunity to rebel. Not even the slightest vestige of pity or mercy must be shown to them. And then Raban goes, "Can one exterminate an entire planet?" And the Baron goes, whoa, exterminate? Who said anything about exterminating? He says, well, I presume we're just going to bring in a new stock. And he says, I said squeeze, nephew, not exterminate. Don't waste a population.
When I squeeze things, they pop.
Exactly. I will pet it, and I will love it, and it will be my pet.
And it will pop when I hug it too hard.
It says, merely drive them to utter submission. You must be a carnivore, my boy. And he smiled, and he says, a carnivore never stops. Shows
but
no
I'm
mercy.
vegan.
Shut up, Raban. You know you're not vegan. You're too big to be vegan.
I eat lots of Cheez-Its.
Yeah, I guess. It can only be defeated by the stomach rumblings of its hunger, by the throat crying of its thirst. You must always be hungry and thirsty. The Baron crest his bulges beneath his measures, like me. And then he says, I see, my lord. And then he says, everything clear? And he goes, except one thing, the planetologist Kynes. He goes, yeah, Kynes. He says, he's the Emperor's man, my lord. He may come and go as he pleases. He's very close to Fremen, married one, actually. And Kynes says, Kynes will be dead by tomorrow's nightfall. And he's like, that's dangerous. He's an Imperial servant. And he says, how do you think I've come this far this quickly? The Baron demanded. And he says, besides, you never have fear Kynes would have left Arrakis. You forget he's addicted to the spice. So he's basically... It's got to stay. And then he dismisses Raban, and then he thinks to himself, of Raban, says that muscle-minded tank brain says they will. This is the Baron thinking. Says they will be a bloody pulp here when they are through. When he's through with them, then I will send Fade to take the load off them, and they will cheer their rescuer, beloved Fade, benign Fade, compassionate one who saves them from the beast. Fade, a man to fall and to die for. The boy will know by the time how to oppress with impunity. I'm sure he's the one we need. He'll learn. He has such a lovely body. Really lovely boy. And that's how the chapter ends.
He's got this really awesome plastic thong. It's just the best.
So
I hope they keep the plastic thong in the new movie.
I got one thing is why wouldn't the Harkonnens just marry Fade to the Emperor's daughter?
Because Baron Harkonnen wants him for himself.
I'm just saying, you would have solved a lot of problems right there.
I mean, Duke marrying Jessica to solve problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
She's a Harkonnen. She's direct descendant of Baron Harkonnen.
Well, yeah, but they didn't know that at the time. But
I'm pretty sure if they would have gotten married, it would have come out.
They do Ancestry.com. Come on.
Yeah, come
on. Dave, your impressions on these 2 chapters?
I mean, it's just really cool seeing Paul all I'm a man now, I'm 15, and I speak like a man, I look like a boy, even though my hair is a fool. Down low. So full. But yeah, it's just he's pretty ballsy. Just because in the previous chapters, he was just I figured out the path. Oh, I see all these different paths, I gotta figure out which one I want to take. And then he's like, yeah, I'll straight up die for you, Dr. Kynes. You must have seen Dr. Kynes was just going to die if you made him this promise.
Yeah, he's don't worry, that guy's going to die.
He's like, I don't have nothing to worry about. I'll be fine.
Just give me your Ornithopter.
Give me your Ornithopter, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. He did the old Terminator move on him.
Yeah, he did. Dr. Kynes stuck a cigar in his chest and he didn't even blink. It's like, yeah, that's pretty badass, little 15-year-old kid. So yeah, it was pretty good. And like, you know, the Harkonnens are creepy as ever. It's just so sad. We've gotten way more time with the Harkonnens than we've gotten with Duncan Idaho. I really wonder how Duncan Idaho is gonna like be in the movie, because Jason Momoa is like a pretty big actor now, and he's got like 5 minutes of dialogue, and he's dead now.
I do wonder if they're going to like give him more robust scenes and a couple more lines than in the book.
I mean, they're supposed to be expanding Lady Jessica's role a lot too, and Lady Jessica has a lot compared to him.
Yeah,
as it is in the book. So I'm very curious to see how all this is going to go, and with all this expansion they're doing, I wonder if 2 movies is going to be enough for them to add all this stuff for these characters to make them bigger and still tell the story as it is. How about you?
Yeah, I love the scene with Kynes and Paul and their back and forth. I thought that was great because obviously Kynes, you're playing on his turf, and he knows that Paul and Jessica are in trouble, and he's even questioning, why am I helping these people? Of course, you know, because it's like, oh man, like we could be in a lot of trouble here just by helping them. And I think I think his love of Arrakis and the Freeman is what really gets him to decide with Paul more than anything, because he's already seen Paul has an affinity to a lot of things, and he's astute, and he's different than the Harkonnens. Harkonnens were brutal when they ruled on the planet for 80 years before the Atreides, so he sees a totally different thing, and maybe sees a path of something else. You know, obviously he's thought in the past that he might be the Kwisatz Haderach. Mm-hmm. You know, the shortening of the way kind of thing. So
yeah, he didn't really mention that in this sequence. So, but he has mentioned that before in the past. So he is inclined to be more favorable toward him.
Right, exactly. So there's a possibility there that he's keeping open. So that was cool, and obviously Paul and Jessica riding the Ornithopter into the sandstorm is probably a terrifying moment, and I thought that was it was well played in the book, because Paul's trying to seem like he's confident, but then even he's doing the Bene Gesserit litany, so he won't get himself so freaked out.
Yeah, Paul gets scared a bunch in these upcoming episodes where he loses his focus.
Yeah,
a lot actually, which is kind of weird considering he's like basically snapped into like God mode, and where he's like seeing the future, and now all of a sudden he's getting scared a lot by things happening in the present.
Then the next chapter with the Baron and Nephid and Raban. The only thing I always hate in all these books and stories is that the villains are always surrounded by complete nincompoops. You know, it could be part of the thing of why, you know, you're so evil to everyone that you've killed all your good people, or the good people have left you. You know, sort of like Trump. You know, like all the people have left you, and all you're surrounded by nincompoops. You know, kind of thing.
I mean, I guess. I mean, that's a very possible thing.
I always think of Skeletor and He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Yeah,
he always had he had all these like villains, and they're all like complete morons. And He-Man just always like got rid of them, and he's like, "God darn you, He-Man!"
I think it's necessary, because when you're so bad, and you need no one to question you, you need the dumbest people around you. You need yes men, and yes men usually aren't the brightest.
Or they are so cowardly they don't stand up for what they believe in.
There's that too.
I mean, the perfect example too is
just look at Rick Berman, and I mean Rick McCullum and George Lucas in the Star Wars movies.
Well, I was going to bring up Joseph Stalin, how he killed all his generals during World War II. So when when the Nazis were invading into the Soviet Union, which they promised Stalin that they would never. Hitler told Stalin, "Oh, I will never invade Russia. Don't ever worry. I'll never do it." And then everyone's like, Stalin, the Nazis' tanks are like all on our border. They're ready to invade any minute. He's like, pish posh. He told me he would never do that. It's like, no, it really looks like they're going to invade like any minute. We really should do something. It's like, shut up, you, to the gulags.
Die, motherfuckers. Well,
and then,
you know what,
and then you do invade, So
you know what is awful. I was watching this history documentary series on Netflix, and apparently Stalin was trying to ally with the Allied side, and they said, "Nah, fuck you."
Well, yeah, because he was making concessions with Hitler for a long time, and he was like, "Well, I'm friends with Hitler. I'm not going to help you guys." And then all of a sudden, Hitler invades Russia, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I need help."
But, like, before World War II broke out, he wanted to be on the Allied side, and
really?
I wonder if like just Europe saying fuck no to him and all this stuff like that, and the switching of the presidency also, because there's like all the stuff worked out, and then the presidency switched, and the guy came after. Toward the end of World War II, was just like screwing everything up and just like getting in Stalin's face and just like because I can't remember who was the first president. I'm bad with.
Oh, you're talking about Lenin?
No, American presidents.
Oh, American president.
Because when they were trying,
it was Roosevelt during World War II, and Truman was after.
Truman started messing everything up. Like he was like going back on all the deals.
Yeah, Truman. Yeah, Roosevelt and Stalin made a bunch of deals, and then Truman was like, "Yeah, fuck that guy."
He backed out. I mean, like we created our own enemy. I mean, like it's just absolutely ridiculous that we've got all this like stuff going on with Russia, because first of all, the European allies said "fuck you" to Russia, which made things bad, and then so because Europe said "fuck you" to them, they went with Germany. Be on the Nazi side, and then the Nazis turned on them, and then we made deals with them, and then we went back on our deals with them. I mean, like,
but just remember that the Soviets were never very good people. Period. Stalin was a monster even before the Nazi thing started. So he was a complete lunatic. I'm
not saying he was a great person, but from this documentary I watched, it seemed like he didn't go back on his deals, and he made them with other leaders.
No, he was. Yeah, you're right about that.
Everyone double-crossed him.
Yeah.
And he was supposedly the maniac, crazy asshole. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying that it seemed like he held to his word better than anyone else when he was the one that was like this, always like downplayed, which is kind of insane that just so much history is just like kind of lost in mainstream in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that how the Nazis, scientists, like a bunch of them went to America, a bunch of them went to the Soviet Union, and we used them for our rocket program,
space program,
yeah. So
nukes. It's just so crazy that how the history worked out, and it's just like we're still like reaping the terrible things we sowed back then by being dicks to people. I mean, like if we would have just been nicer, maybe we wouldn't have had the Cold War with Russia. Maybe we wouldn't be so like I don't know. Maybe we'd have better relations with some other country. It's just
remember too that a lot of capitalists were extremely terrified of the idea of communism. So but so the Baron has Nefud and Raban surrounding him.
Yeah. So, he hired the yes man.
Yeah, of course he did.
Nefud for sure, because he's like, I can know how to control him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah. So, anyways, interesting stuff. It's cool to see this. Everything kind of like Paul and Jessica are still on the run. And, they still have to make roots with the Freemen to get footing against, the Harkonnens and ultimately the Emperor.
Roots in space.
Anything else that you want to bring up about this?
No, it's good. I can't wait to get further into Dune. Can't wait to get into the next books. Can't wait for the movie to come out. Just really hope it's going to be good. And we might make it to the halfway point, or at least as far as the movie's going to go.
I mean, honestly, Dave, we are pretty much halfway through this book about now. I mean, not exactly halfway, but we're about as close as we're going to get.
We're pretty close to halfway. So I mean, if they did the movie, and they're the little things that have come out saying they're comparing Duncan Idaho's death to Boromir's death at the end of Fellowship of the Ring. They're trying to make it a big deal. Because in the book, I mean, it's heroic, but it's not like.
Yeah, he dies, and they're just running through that maze, and you're like, yeah, Duncan Idaho's dead, our best friend. Let's get in the Ornithopter,
Oh wow.
Whatever, dude.
Someone will save his body and his consciousness, and he'll come back later. It'll be fine.
Oh yeah. We'll have to see
how that works.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I read Dune Messiah, but it was so long ago, I can't remember all the details because I know they kind of go into it a little bit, but.
Yeah.
It's been too long. We'll have to just reread it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm excited for all things Dune. I just really hope everything works out with the movie.
Yeah, me too. Because it would be exciting if they could go forward and do more movies in the future. I mean, it's a great franchise, and it's eager to be developed. So.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many Dune diehards. So hopefully. It'll work out, but it's got to appeal. That's the problem. No matter how many diehards you have, it's got to appeal to the general audience to make money. So hopefully, the trailer will be snappy and it'll get people interested in it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let us know what you think about our read along with Dune. Hit us up if you want, if there's corrections or something we missed or something we should be talking about more. You can email us at our email address at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can hit us up at our Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. You can tweet at us at Synthaholics Duo. You can even hit us up on Instagram. Our Instagram tag is synthaholics.podcast. And if the show is something you'd like to support, please go to our Patreon, Patreon.com/Synthaholics. We greatly appreciate any monetary donations. And hey, if you can't do any of that, leave a review on what usually it's going to be Apple Podcasts, but it could be anything else. It could be, Stitcher has them. And
Stitcher, you can go on the old Reddits and review us there.
Oh, yeah, Reddit would be a great thing to just put out. And obviously just, tell your friends, tell your classmates before they get COVID that, hey, listen to Synthaholics while you have COVID. And hopefully you'll make it through.
Absolutely.
We can't promise you that we will cure COVID, but we can help pass the time.
Yeah.
Well, guys, until that, next week we get into chapter 27, and we'll be reading more Dune. So join us then. Until then, the spice must flow.
Daddy Mapes is going to have so much spice.
And he's big 50 million miles aside of Mars. Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
That old Mip's never going away.
Mip's never going to go away. She lives forever. She gets reborn as many times as Duncan Idaho. She's the real power behind Dune. Shattered Mapes.
Somebody posted on that Dune 2020 that the original woman, I forgot her name, not Helen Hunt. I can't remember.
Helen Hunt.
The original woman. Yeah, the original woman who played Shadow Mapes.
She's still alive?
Yeah.
She was ancient in 1984.
I know.
Or she looked ancient anyway.
It was, who the fuck is it? Why is it not telling me? I see pictures of her, but they're not telling me. Oh, Linda Hunt.
Oh, just like Helen Hunt's older sister, aunt, cousin.
Yeah. Linda Hunt. Yeah. Yeah, someone's like, why couldn't she just reprise the role? I'd be like, actually, that would be pretty brilliant because they could get her to still do that same part.
Well, it's not a very big part.
I know. And actually, tell you the truth, I mean, it was over the top, her performance, but I thought it did pretty good, you know, for that small part she played. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I am the Shadow Mapes.
I am the Shadow Mapes. I make all day and all night.